Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a little bit different than anything I've done. I wanted to make this video for a while now, just to kind of go over homeschooling, why it is I homeschool, what it is I actually do with my two children, and show you the kinds of things that I actually have and the things that I do with them, the reasons behind it, go into a little bit more detail why people choose to homeschool, show you some really cool websites, show you some really cool resources and everything like that. So hopefully I will cover a little bit of everything in this video. It's going to be a long one, so go get your drinks and get cozy and get ready for this video. Because I'm going to be covering so many different things in this video, I might not go into too much detail on each thing in particular, but if you'd like a certain video honed in on one particular area, then please do let me know. This video is going to kind of cover what I do, what I use on all different aspects. So if you want one just for example on good internet sites or good TV programs or good workbooks, etc, etc, then just let me know and we can go into more detail on those specific things. So I've made some notes. I've got quite a lot of notes here, so hopefully I don't forget anything that I want to talk about. I just wanted to start by giving you a little bit of a background on homeschooling and just to kind of let you know some information about it. I currently recently took a course with the Centre of Excellence. It's a home education course. It's usually £127, but they're offering it for free during the coronavirus, so I thought I would get this certificate under my belt. So let me just show you. This is, if it will focus, so this is my certificate. I wanted to get it printed to show you, but it says that Emily Copjazz passed with distinction. So that is my home education diploma, and then this is just the underneath bit which says that a continuing professional development certificate, Emily Copjazz has participated in the home education diploma. So there you go. So I am now certified in the home education diploma, so that was interesting. Learned quite a few facts on that course, which was good. I will link that down below, just because it's free at the minute to do rather than £127. And whether you do not need this certificate, you do not need any qualifications to homeschool. There are no requirements at all. However, just as that little extra something to show people like, yeah, I have actually got a qualification in homeschooling. If you're able to do the course and do the exams and everything, the end of module exams, then I suggest just why not while it's free. So yeah, so I've done that. So another thing is that homeschool is becoming really popular recently, and it's estimated that between 50,000 and 100,000 people in the UK are currently homeschooled, and that's going up on average of 80% every year. So you can see that it's getting really popular. So quite a lot of people are wanting to know what resources are out there and what there is to do. Another thing that people often ask is, what do you have to know into homeschool? And what do you have to do? And the short answer is there isn't anything specific that you have to do. And that's another thing that I'm going to say is, just because I'm showing you all of this stuff that I have for my children in particular, you do not need all of this. You could have more. You can have this and more. You could have none of this, and you can choose to do something else. The way that you choose to homeschool is completely up to you. You do not need everything that I'm about to show you. You don't need everything and more that the internet says. There is no legal requirements that you need in order to homeschool your child legally in the UK. Yeah, and your children do not have to follow the national curriculum if that is something that you do not choose. Quite often, so there's some people who choose to follow the national curriculum to a T. Then there are those who choose to unschool. And neither one of them is something I do. Quite a lot of people like me are just somewhere in the middle. So I personally do national curriculum in English, math and science currently at primary school age, and then as the children get older and get a little bit more decisive on what route it is they want to pass, we'll hone in on particular subjects that they need for their, for example, college or apprenticeships or further educational courses. Whatever topic it is that they would require for those courses, we would then hone in on and learn. But at the minute, while they're still so young, my son is 8 and 11, we're kind of doing a bit of everything. because obviously we don't know where their passions lie. They'll change their mind all over the place, so we're kind of just keeping it open-minded, keeping them have a little bit of a feeler in everything at the minute, while they are still young at primary school. So yes, you do not have to follow any particular curriculum at all. So obviously with schools you have a rigid timetable, you have to be at school at a certain time, there's lessons at time, breaks and blah blah. Homeschool is completely different, it's completely your timetable. So when your day starts and ends is completely up to you. So for example, my son the other day, he didn't get round to starting his work till a little bit later on. However, when it's about 8 PM at night, just before bedtime after he'd had his supper, he quickly finished off one of his math activities. Now, you can't do that when you're at school. You can't quickly go back and do something that you didn't finish before 3 o'clock. Homeschooling gives you that flexibility to be able to do what it is you want when you want. Some people choose to have a strict timetable, others are completely unschooled like I said, and we are just somewhere in the middle. We have a rough outline of what the children need to do in a day. For my children in particular, they have to do math, English, science every day, whether it's one module, just to keep their minds fresh, and then it is topic work, so that's like the documentaries, the apps, the websites, a little bit of everything else. Whatever takes their fancy, whatever it is that they want to learn about, we will learn about. So I'm somewhere in the middle, so we have to do certain things every day, and then for the rest of it I'm a bit more free flow. So you'll see everything I'll use in a minute anyway, so I'll just get into that. So yeah, you can have a relaxed lifestyle or as strict a lifestyle as you personally choose. It is, even if you choose to have these timetables and things, it is going to be a lot more relaxed and a lot more easier, because you essentially are on your own timetable. If you decide you want to take a school trip, educational trips, museums, blah blah, you can just go. If your children are hungry, you can quit lessons an hour earlier, make dinner, and then go back to your lessons. It's not that strict and rigid as it is at school, so that's another good thing. So I think I just covered this a second ago, but it's another thing that people often ask or assume about homeschoolers is you can't get your qualifications. This is one of the things that literally makes me want to throttle people. I can understand people who just don't know because they haven't looked into it, but it's the people that are just so set in their ways, like children who are homeschooled don't get any education, blah, blah. Children can have as much education as they choose. There is no age on a GCSE. At school, they take their GCSEs at 16 because that is the norm. However, if you are homeschooling your son or daughter and they, for example, are excelling in a certain topic, they could take their GCSEs at any age, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There's a fly. There is no reason why a homeschooled child can't take their GCSEs. There's no reason why they can't take the SATs, there's no reason why they can't take their A-levels. Colleges and apprenticeships in the UK actively seek out homeschoolers now because they have been proven to perform better than their peers who are schooled. They know what they're doing. They actively seek out homeschoolers. So if there's a course that your child wants to get into later on, you look at what qualifications they might need. You can either contact the colleges or the course apprenticeship directly, let them know that your child is homeschooled, what is it that they need if you want to go down a different path to GCSEs. And there's usually some kind of informal exam that they can take to show their knowledge and get onto these courses. But you can also 100% take your GCSEs. You have to just book them. You normally take them at either some kind of local school or like local like place of learning. So there's usually like a date, you book the date and you'll be there with all the other like people who aren't sitting their exams in the regular way, and you can just take your GCSEs the same as everybody else if that is what you choose. So that's another myth that is about homeschoolers. And SATs, same if you want to take SATs. SATs I personally don't think are something that you need to worry about personally, because it's just the school's way obviously checking if your child's on track, and then they can get good Ofsted reports and all that. But GCSEs, I know quite a lot of people worry about, and myth, children who homeschool can't get them. Absolutely false. You can 100% still take your GCSEs, still get into colleges, and still get a good job while being homeschooled. Homeschoolers are actively seeked out due to, I will put in some evidence in a minute, that there has actually been studies done that prove homeschooled children perform better in certain things. I will tell you all of that in a minute. I'll also try and link all my resources and everything down below. Lots of different reasons why people choose to homeschool. You can choose to homeschool because if your child has special needs, you don't feel like the school is fulfilling them, and you want to supplement that, give your child the attention that they deserve. Some people do it because it is personally easier, fits into their lifestyle. They might have quite a lot of children, or maybe just a busy, or want more time with their children, so they just want them at home with them. People choose to do it because you just don't feel like the school system is good enough. You want to give your child better education than school can offer them. There are literally so many different reasons. And what works for one child won't always work for another. So the fact that the parent can homeschool them and suit their teaching to that specific child is amazing. Which is something that they cannot do at schools, because they have like 30 odd children in their class. They cannot cater to each child individually. So homeschooling is amazing for giving your child the specific attention that they need. Yeah, so if your child does go to school, you will need to deregister them. So deregistering them from school is super easy. You can get a template off Google, just type it in. All you have to do is change the name, obviously, to your child's name, send it to the school office. As soon as they have replied to you, that is acknowledgement of them receiving it, and you do not have to do anything else. The school might try and contact you to say that you need to fill out forms, you need to go for meetings. You are not legally required to do anything else after they have acknowledged that they have received that mail. So please don't feel intimidated by anything like that. Know your laws, know your rights. As soon as they have acknowledged they have received your email, there is nothing legally that you are required to do. I mean, you can go to the meetings and fill out these forms if you want, but you're not legally required to. So just know your rights. I'll try and remember to link a template down below for a deregistration letter if anybody is considering that. I'll try and link one down below for you. So yeah, kind of based on that point, so if schools are making it difficult for you and saying that you need to fill the forms that go in, etc., you do not have to. What they will do is contact the local education authorities, the local education authorities, to let them know that your child no longer has a place at their school. So the local education authorities will contact you either by telephone, well, hopefully by telephone, and I've heard of some stories where they just turn up at your door, but they'll contact you and you just inform them of what you've decided to do, and then that is it. You're not legally required to let them into your house. You're not legally required to show them anything that you're doing with them. That you have no legal requirements at all. I chose to talk to them on the phone because the person I was talking to was very polite. I've heard other people that say that they literally just said, no, I'm not talking to you. I personally would stay civil with them. There's no reason not to. They're not doing anything wrong. As long as they're being polite to you, there's no reason not to be polite back, but just know your rights. Because sometimes these people do try and make it difficult and make you feel a little bit funny about your decision, but these will just try and stay polite and everything, and just know that you're well within your legal rights to homeschool your child. So yeah, just a little fact that I went into earlier. So in the 1990s, actually in 1990, Dr. Lawrence Williams stated, and then quote, that homeschool children are more creative than their traditional schooled peers. So he did this by testing the children with the figurable form of the Tosserance test of creative thinking. I hope I said that right. So he found that home educated children scored significantly higher than the regular norm. Just throwing some facts in for all the people that you want to impress with your facts. So home educated children are encouraged to learn more. They often learn more than is required because their learning doesn't stop when the curriculum stops for homeschooled children. You have your set day at school. they move on to the next subject the next day. Homeschooling is not like that. If a child is interested in something, you can go above and beyond to fill their brains with knowledge about this certain thing. They have no set quota. They don't need to learn this in a certain time just to pass this exam, just so the school looks good. They can fill their brain with as much useful knowledge to them as possible, instead of all this junk that the schools fit into their brains that you and me do not remember now, because you were programmed to take in a small amount of information, pass a test and forget about it. Bit of information, next test, forget about it. And that's not what homeschooling is. This is to enrich your child's brain and fill it, and they're constantly learning. The education does not end at the end of the school day for homeschooled children. And they tend to learn more because the parent can tailor each lesson and structure to that child, whereas, like I said before, the teacher has 30 odd children in a class and cannot cater individually to each child's needs. It allows more one-on-one time for the parent and the child. I know you might have siblings, but 2, 3, even 4, 5 siblings is a lot less than a class of 30 that the teacher has to teach. So cost-wise, homeschooling can really be as expensive or as inexpensive as you choose. So for me personally, I do pay for quite a few activities, which I will go into in a moment when I go into it. But there are so many free resources. There's museums, there's libraries, there's the internet. It literally is up to you what you spend. You could go from enrolling your child into full-time online school with tutors and the fanciest stationery and spend thousands, or you could do it completely budget friendly for basically free. I'm kind of in the middle. And like I said, when I go into detail about what it is I use for my children in particular, please don't feel like you have to have all of this stuff. Also, if you have more, then great, good for you. If you have less, then perfect, that's amazing as well. So it literally is completely up to you and your family how much you choose to spend. There is not a set requirement, you need this, you need this, you need this, absolutely not. What you need is what you feel like you need for your child, and that's just that. Another myth is that homeschool children do not get socialised. Studies have shown that homeschool children are usually better at socialisation than the regular school children. So due to the fact they get to mix with so many different age groups rather than a class of the same age children. Traditional schooling actually prevents your child from proper socialisation because they do not go to school to socialise. So yeah, so how many people, like you and me, how many times did you get told at school, stop talking to your friends, you're not here to socialise? So why do so many people against homeschooling use this as a genuine argument? They try and say, your child isn't going to get socialised if they go to school. But at school, they are encouraged not to socialise. Do not talk to your friend. Do not talk, do not socialise, do not do this, do not do that. They are actively discouraged from socialising at school. So homeschooled children usually have much better social skills. There is actually little time to socialise in schools, but often people confuse school with socialising for children, when in fact they socialise a lot more in home education. They gain social skills from mixing with a lot more people in the community than they wouldn't have had, than they wouldn't have had the opportunity with in a school environment. So you've got to think, in a school, they are stuck in a classroom with one adult, 30 of the children on a desk, basically staring forward or staring down. That isn't socialising. They get a 30-minute break and then they get a dinner where most of the time they're spending eating. That isn't socialising. People, and the fact that people use this as an argument against homeschoolers really ruffles me the wrong way, because that is not socialising. Homeschooled children are socialising. When you go to the shops and you talk to the cashier, when they go to their clubs, their groups, even when they're doing their online classes with other children on the webcam, they're socialising. They can be as social or as unsocial as you choose because they're homeschooled. You can take them to clubs. They can go to homeschool activity days and meet friends. They can have their friends for dinners. They can go around to people's houses. They can go to play areas, museums. they socialise with a vast majority more people than they would have had the chance to at school, mixing with the same people every day, only having less than basically an hour's time to talk to their friends in that day. That is just something that So homeschool children are usually a lot more social as adults. Studies have found that they are a lot more socialised than their schooled peers. So yeah, so another thing is that obviously if you are worried about their socialising, because say for example it is just you and them, they aren't going to clubs, they aren't going to groups, and you don't really leave the house a lot, so your options are, so they can join groups and clubs. So there's a lot of educational things. I'll go into this a little bit later on, but there's so many educational days, there's educational groups. I'm going to list all the ones that my children go to down below, as well as other ones that I found which I think will be really good. So what's their favourite thing? Have they got a favourite instrument? Do they like dancing? Sports? They could join a group and get that little clique of friends there. When you go out to the shops, make sure you're taking them with you. Anywhere you go, they are with you and they're interacting with adults, and the more that children interact with adults, the more socialised and open to the world that they are than just sitting and talking to children all day. Obviously it's amazing that they go to all these clubs and have all these friends their own age, but the fact that they get to mix with so many adults that they just wouldn't in school is just amazing. So yeah, so homeschool children usually get to experience a wider range of things that they just wouldn't be able to in school. So it helps them to learn earlier where their passions lie. So they get to experience these activities that they just wouldn't be able to at school. School is very set in stone. It's this. Do the next lesson to pass the next exam. Do the next lesson to pass the next exam. Homeschoolers get to experience and put their feelers out. What is their passion? So they usually tend to find where their passions lie a lot earlier, what kind of colleges they want to go to, what kind of jobs they want, because they get to actually live in the real world and experience what it is that they want to do rather than being dictated to constantly. So they tend to be a lot more cleverer and a lot more passionate about what it is they choose to do later in life, because they've been able to realise it sooner and get a love for it at such a younger age. So yeah, and also you also get to choose what exams to take, whereas at school the exams are set in stone. As a homeschooler, you can pick and choose what exams your child takes. So this goes on to once they realise where their passions lie. So whatever college course your child decides to take, apprenticeship, I don't even know, what is it? My mind's gone blank. Whatever it is they want to do later on in life, you can choose what exams they take. So if they need X, Y, Z to get into this college, they studied for X, Y, Z. You could do it in half the time that they would learn at school, because it's up to you. The education doesn't end at the end of the day. If your child wants to sit up like hours and hours, well, maybe not 8 years old, but like a 15-year-old, they want to sit up learning, doing a week's course in a night just to get their qualifications, they can. If they want to start learning at 10 years old, ready for when they're 16, they can take their time, taking it all in at their leisure, because they know that they need X, Y, and Z to be able to do this at college, and they can just focus their attention on these particular 3 exams, 4 exams, 5 exams, whatever they need, because that is where their passion is, and they know that they need that, and they don't need to focus on religious studies, geography, history, unless of course you want to go into religious studies, geography, history, but that's just an example. So say if you focused on one particular career path where technologies, geographies and physical education wouldn't be necessary, you don't take a GCSE in PE, don't take a GCSE in geography then if you don't need it. They can focus on what it is that they want to learn. So, and it's the same for if these particular things are where their passions lie, they can forget about them, and it goes hand in hand. So you can focus on what interest it is for your child, and just focus on them. So yeah, basically is what I'm saying. So yeah, so because my children are at such a young age, we are currently focused on everything, because like I said, they haven't decided what it is they want to do, so they're just dipping their toe into all the courses at the minute. The more you get on into the teenage years, then of course you can focus that path more directly and focus on the things that your child enjoys, and you can do that at any age anyway, but that's just personally what I choose. They kind of just got their toes in everything at the minute. So yeah, so home education will not be for everybody. It does take a lot from the teaching parent. So obviously you are the parent. If you need to want to be with your child 24/7, which obviously will not be for everybody, you will be their teacher, as well as their parent, as well as their friend, their cook, their cleaner, everything you were before, and then a teacher as well on top of that. So you really have to decide if this is for you, because it really isn't as easy as, well, some people say it's easy, some people say it's hard. So the people who will come up to you and say, oh, you just need it for an easy life, blah blah, genuinely have no clue, because it is difficult. So you have to obviously go into this with an open mind, knowing what it is that you want to get out of this. Okay, so yeah, I'm just going to give you a little list of the type of learners that there usually are in a classroom, just to give you an idea of how the teacher cannot physically cater to all these different learning types. So first we have visual learners, verbal learners, oral learners, which are ones who learn best through music and sounds, and they make like rhythms to things. Physical or kinetic learners, you might know it as, social learners, logical/mathematical learners, and naturalist learners. So how can every single child in the school environment be getting the attention and that they need of their teacher, when so many different children learn in so many different ways? The amazing thing about homeschooling is you do what's best for your child, you do what's best for your siblings. I have 2 sons who learn completely different, and I can cater to each one differently. So that's another good thing. Another good thing is that they live in the real world. They tend to have a lot better skills and better at adulting, because not every homeschooler, but most homeschooled children are forced to life with the parent. We go to the shops, they're with us. We go to the restaurants, they're with us. Petrol station, I don't even know, everywhere. So they tend to be a little bit more clever. They'll learn how money works. They'll learn how to read the money, like the money signs. They'll learn how to, I can't even think now, I've got a list of things. But they learn how to cook and clean, and they just take it all in. So I have a few chores which my children have to do, which is just part of our day now. So they are responsible for stripping and helping making their own beds, keeping the rooms clean, which is a given. They have their own pet which they have to look after. Little jobs like emptying the dishwasher, sweeping, hoovering. I can't really think of any others, but I make sure that they do life skills, because I do not want sons who grow up to then be shitty husbands and fathers. So my children have to do jobs and life skills. So that is part of their home educational day. They aren't starting school at 8:30 like the other children. So while we're eating breakfast until we start education at like maybe 10 AM, they help mummy clean up, they help mummy clean, cook. We also have recipe meals coming from HelloFresh, which comes with, if you've got a HelloFresh, they come with like a, say for example something like this, and it has a recipe on it. Oh, I should have got one to show you. So I get the children to help me like measure out ingredients for that. So they're going to have cooking skills. They're not just going to be useless men. But you know what I mean. So I'm trying to give them the life skills that they need to better themselves. So yeah, another thing is, people think if a child doesn't go to school, they will not learn. Children will always learn. Children want to learn. They're programmed to learn. So even the people who do the unschooling, their children are constantly learning, because children are programmed to learn. If a child just went from A to B in life, they would constantly be learning. That is what they are programmed to do, to take things in. A child who does nothing all day, isn't doing nothing, that child is taking everything in. They are learning. They are programmed to learn. Children are learning sponges. They take everything in. So as much or as little as you do not worry, your child is learning. Right, so support. You're going to need, I'm nearing the end of my rant before I go on to the actual activities that I do. So yeah, so support. You're going to need support. You are going to find a lot of people with negative energy, with a lot to say about you going to homeschooling. Not necessarily, but this is just my general rule. I'm yet to meet anybody who's going to homeschooling with 100% support. That's just that. So you're going to need a support system. So there's a lot of good Facebook groups that I can recommend, which I will link down below. I actually had a problem today from negative energy and blah blah, and I posted in this homeschool group called, where did I post? I posted in a homeschool group called Homeschooling UK, and literally at the minute my post stands at over like 200 comments. The people in these communities are amazing. They will give you support. When you feel like everybody is against you in your decisions, stick to your guns. They have social workers in there, they have people who work with children, ex-teachers, and then a whole bunch of other women and men who choose to homeschool, who will give you advice and help you find tutors, online classes, worksheets, amazing websites. So join communities like that. Get yourself support, get yourself a support system, because you are going to need it for when you feel down and that everybody is against you, and that you've made the wrong decision. You're going to need a support, so join these groups. So there's Homeschooling UK, which I joined. I will link it down below, and I'll also link a couple others that I'm part of down below. Right, so this is where we're going to get into the video of what I actually do. So hopefully if you've sat through all of that. So I'm going to go through in categories and then share with you what it is I do with my boys. So firstly, actually first, before I start, I'll just say, you do not need all of this stuff. I've said it 500 times, you don't need all this stuff. Just because I'm going through these categories and naming what I have, this is just giving you ideas and letting you know what I personally do with my children. If you do less or you do more, honestly, everybody is amazing for doing the homeschooling. So tutor wise, so yeah, so tutors, my children are starting with a tutor. Actually they're starting tomorrow, and then they are going to be doing 3 classes a week. So their tutor class is called Blossom Home Education. So they're going to be taking 3 classes online live, so like the teacher teaches them the lesson, and they're doing writing course, math course and book club. So these courses are 7-week terms following the national curriculum, and they're an hour each lesson, and she also sets homework in between classes. So a little bit more about that. So these lessons run on a Tuesday and a Thursday. So the writing classes run on the Tuesday, and the math and the book club run on a Thursday. So these are classes that the boys are going to attend with a real life tutor teaching them on the screen that they can respond to while doing these 3 lessons. So that is what I use tutor wise. If you want more information on tutors, literally there are so many different resources out there for you. Sorry, just reading. There are so many different resources. Another one is something called Outschool. So just Facebook Outschool and it will come up, and they have amazing classes taught by real teachers in real time. I don't use them personally, but I have looked into them, and that is something that I would consider. They do courses for everything, and I will link them down below as well. Right, so some websites for courses. Right, so the 2 that my children use are EdSplace or EdPlace and Math Factor. So I'm going to show you on my laptop, my little tablet, what they look like. So this is, let me see my slide. So this is EdPlace. It's going to be a struggle to show you, but I will link everything down below, where you create a parent account, you pay a subscription. So I'm going to tell you the costs for them. So for a year of EdPlace is £100. You can pay annually or monthly. I pay annually. So for £100 for one child, and then it's £65 for additional sibling. So for £165 they get access to English, math and science following the national curriculum, and that is without a live teacher. So that is to do at their own leisure with me helping, and that is from year 1 to GCSE, so they can follow that all the way through. It is online lessons but not with a live teacher. Tests, quizzes, lessons, following the national curriculum in math, English and science, like I said, from year 1 to GCSE. So that one is a really good one to look into if you're looking for one to spend money on. That is our main one, which is EdPlace. Again, I will link it down below. So the other one that we use is Math Factor. So during coronavirus, Math Factor offered their services for free. Let me just get it up. And now it is £5 a month per child, or £50 annually per child. So it costs me £10 a month for them both, for just math. I will show you what it looks like. So you can't really tell, but this is what it looks like. And then you make a parent account, same as before, and then you can check in on what your child is doing. And with EdPlace, actually I didn't say, you can set rewards for your child, like once they reach 100 points they get screen time, once they reach 100 points they get to play with a friend, they get a treat from the shop. Do you know what I mean? You can set incentives if that's something that your child is into. With Math Factor, they have marbles. So after they complete each math task, they get marbles, and then the more marbles they get, they can unlock math games. So that is good. So that is no longer free because of coronavirus, but like I said, it's £5 a month per child. So I pay £10 a month for Math Factor, and I think that's really good. It's only math. If you join, you can get a 21 free day trial, so I would suggest using that anyway, because it is a really good, and it's got a lot of colours and it's very bright, so it's very enticing for the children. But yeah, so that is just math, whereas EdPlace is math, English and science, so we do both. So they're the two that I highly recommend. Some other websites which we have used but aren't our main ones are Khan Academy. I will link these all down below. That is one that I used when I first started. That is a free site that you can access. BBC Bite Size. Duolingo is very good for languages, and Brain Pop. They are all good websites. I will link all 4 of them down below for you to have a look at. Okay, and another thing that the boys are really interested in is it's kind of like an in-between. So it's a live class in things that they're interested in. So one of them is called STEM School, so stemschool.co.uk, which I will link down below, and they are Minecraft and Roblox based courses. So the children, let me try and find it on here. So STEM School, try and show you on my phone quick. So STEM School is run by virtual teachers aged 7 to, the teachers aren't aged 7 to 12, for children aged 7 to 12. So what the classes are is they are game development classes. So they aren't just gaming, so they do game development, coding, all kinds of things to do with Roblox and Minecraft, so things that your child is interested in but they are learning at the same time. And they are online classes, which again you have to pay for, but they are really good. Another one which my children are partaking in this weekend is Tech Camp. So now let me get that up to show you what that looks like. This is something as well which your children will find very, well, if your children are my children, they'll find it very interesting. So this is for anybody, not just homeschoolers, so people who go to school could join these camps as well. They are online virtual camps because of the coronavirus, and it is computer and engineering tech clubs for ages 9 to 12. So they run clubs in all sorts: Python games, arcade gamer, Scratch gaming, electronics design, robotics, Minecraft inventions, game maker, constructive game design, robotics advanced, Minecraft Python, game maker advanced, Unity gaming, website designer, drone racing, 3D design, and then the weekend tech club, which is the one that my children are going to be a part of, which is ages 9 to 12. My son, who's 8, actually turns 9 in like literally like 2 weeks, so he's like 9, he's year 4. So the weekend tech club is a 10-week program, and what they do is they send you physical kits out as well. So while the teacher is teaching you on the screen, you have physical kit in front of you at your house, doing it, programming on the computer and teaching. They have yet to actually go to this class, but we found it and they are joining it. They are starting on Sunday, so we're very excited about that. So I'll link them down below as well for you to look at. So the stuff included in this are pixel art, 3D design, digital music, electronics and infection control, web programming, Python and algorithms. So they are super excited about that. That course is £349 per term, but like I said, it's all taught by a live teacher. You actually get sent a physical pack in post for your child to do. They get to build their own games, their own programming, so it is something really good if that is what your child is into. Sorry if I'm rushing through everything, it's just I've got a lot to get through. So yes, and there's never more than 8 students in the class, and it is tuition by engineering and computer science experts, so the teachers sound very snazzy. So they are what my children use. So all them websites I've just listed are things we use and do. Again, just because I pay for certain things does not mean you have to. There's so many free resources out there. This is just what I use and wanted to mention to you in case anybody found them interesting. Okay, so these are ones. So a few more of the websites which we have used, which I just wanted to mention, are 3D Geography. Like I said, I'll link them all down below. KM Tuition, Game Ed Academy and Code Studio. So these are other really good websites which I have found, which I will link them all down below. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to some physical things. So they're all the children currently have a tutor 3 times a week. They have their online learning, they have their online courses for their like coding and gaming and computer. So now we're going to move on to what they physically do with workbooks. Workbooks are something that are easily acquired and picked up. These are some that I've acquired over the last 2 years. So I'm going to show you some. They're all pretty similar. This is the National Curriculum of English Revision. Big workbook in Math, English and Science, ages 9 to 11. Year 5 Math, ages 9 to 10. Big workbook Math, English and Science, ages 7 to 9. English Essentials 9+. We don't remember what this one is anymore, but I'll go on to tell you why we still have it. 9+ Bumper English and Math, and English and Math 9+. So the reason that we keep workbooks even when the things come off is because what we do is we don't actually write in the workbook. A really good way to save yourself money in the long run if you have more than 1 children is to not write in the workbooks. If you have a scanner and a printer, what I highly recommend you doing is finding the task you want to do in the book, opening the page up, placing it on your scanner and printing out the worksheets. That way your child can write specifically on the worksheet. You can grade it, they can mark it out. If they make accidents, you can even print another one off. And then when your next child is old enough to use these lessons, the answers aren't in them and they get to do it again for themselves rather than you going out and buying more stuff. Obviously, of course, if you want to write in the workbooks, you can, but that is just a handy little tip that I've found. And what we do is, I'll show you some examples. Here's some examples of the worksheets that we print. So, for example, this lesson was nouns, and these are all stapled together. So, we scanned them and just stapled them together, and then this is the lesson that they had to complete. They write on this. This is one that's unused because I got this one to show you, but there's literally thousands and thousands of worksheets. This is an old one of Kian's where it was doing some clocks. Honestly, I could go through this. There's thousands of worksheets that is completed. Here's one that's completed. This was fractions. And they can write on it. They can do as much working out as they want. Pencil, rubbing out, anything they want. And then you can keep this. Quite a lot of the time we throw it away. Well, no, not actually, because we've got all of this, so clearly I don't throw it away, so I don't know what I'm saying. You can keep these for your record of what your child's been doing. I personally didn't feel like I needed to keep record of everything, although my recent drama I feel like I need to document everything. But yes, this is just some of the work that we've acquired from photocopying the workbooks and stapling them together and letting your child use them. This is an amazing way to save the workbooks for children who are younger, that you can then use them. So the ones that were age 9 were my eldest sons. My youngest son, who's 8, will be turning 9 and he'll be going on to year 4, year 5 work now. So I'm so glad that that is something I chose to do. And then we can have them all printed off to do. Another really handy tip is, if you have any photo paper, so Kodak paper or anything like that, A4, print off some worksheets. For example, we have these clock faces, different clock designs that I printed on photo paper. And a really fantastic way, there's loads, really good way to save yourself money is to print on photo paper. We've got all of these like I showed you, and get a whiteboard pen and you can use it and wipe it off. So that is a really good way to save money, as well as photocopying all the workbooks, and then you haven't got to get rid of any workbooks. You can just go over and over scanning them and reusing them. So that's fantastic. So another thing that I would recommend is a craft box. So we currently have a craft box. It's nothing special, it's like one of those big tubs that you can get from IKEA, which is full of slime making kit, paints, gel pens, scissors, colours, felt tips, paper, any stickers we get, all that kind of thing. Because when your child's going to want to do crafts, you're going to want it all in one place. I didn't get it down with all the rest of this stuff because this table is full of stuff for me to show you. But the craft box is always handy to have, because even if your child is doing math, science, they're doing a topic, they can get the crafts out to help them learn. So crafts are really, really good for children. Even if your child learns best playing with slime, get the slime out, divide the slime up into fractions, divide the slime up into a clock, anything. Literally, as a homeschooler, your imagination is endless. So crafts is something I definitely recommend, and keeping it all in one space. So like stuff like slime, pens, pencils, colours, gel pens, paints, scissors, craft paper. Keep it all in one place, and literally crafts are just fantastic. So yeah, so let me move that out of the way. So another thing that we have in this household is we have magazine subscriptions. So we've got a collaboration with Eco Kids. I can't find all the magazines, but Eco Kids Planet is an amazing magazine which you can subscribe to, and that is to learn all about the planet and the animals, so that is fantastic. But the one that we get every month religiously, as you can see, there's a lot of months there, we've been getting this for over a year, is Brilliant Brains magazine. They send them every month. It's full of activities, art, I don't know. So for example, the theme of this one is, I don't know, but yeah, it's full of stories. It tells you stuff to cook, activities to make, ideas to do with your day, fruit and veggie challenge, cookery challenges. Honestly, it's full to the brim every month. Like, we just got thousands of them. So that is something that your children can read through, learn. We keep them because if we ever need to use anything, like, you know, if the children learn about, I don't know, penguins, we can go back and look through a magazine that has penguins in, or even these Eco Kids ones. So if we want to do, oh, penguins, there you go, we want to learn about penguins. So the River Nile, we want to learn about that. We want to learn about British wildlife. If you want to make some pasta, you want to learn about machines. So we keep all these because these are amazing, and your child just learns something new every day. So something like this. So yeah, it says on the top actually, so art, music, food, philosophy, science, nature, app and text, books and films and more. So we get this every month. I believe it is £3.99 a month. We just have an ongoing subscription, and you can see that we've been getting this for a very long time. So highly recommend some kind of magazine subscription because they're so short. Every page is a different topic. Your child is more likely to learn to read or want to read, because they obviously, I assume, if you get a magazine they can read, because every single page is like different facts and stuff. It's not like a book, so they're taking more stuff in because they're wanting to read it. So I'm just going to show you a few of the bits and pieces that we use for homeschooling before I move on to YouTube channels. So we have this book thing. I didn't bring everything down because I got a bit tired. But yeah, so just books and things that you acquire. For example, what's this one? Fantastic Facts. So this isn't a specific home education book, but things like this come in handy for when your child's doing topic work. So if your child needs to learn anything about anything, things like encyclopedias and facts are going to come in so handy. So they can one day be learning about mummies, to the next day be learning about dinosaurs, to the next day be learning about tides and shores, to the next day be learning about night and day and the solar system. So books like this are just so handy to have on hand. So we've got ones like this. We've got books about the human body, honestly everything. Oh, we've even got books on how to survive in the polar, because my son was learning about the polar caps and the ice and all of that. So we've got this little book. So everything like this we put with all these other books, and then they have like a little library of kind of like encyclopedias and stuff that they can get to when we need to do topic work. And they have so many more upstairs, which like I said, these were just, I just grabbed that one thing to show you just an example of, like, even if you find one in a charity shop at a car boot sale, somebody's gifting you one, so like you see one of your friends is throwing some books out, things like that are just useful to have on hand, as well as these like magazines, because when you're doing a topic you could just flip to like the page you need and take in the information. So another thing we have to keep things organised is binders and folders. So these happen to say too cool for school, too cool for school, blah blah blah. So you're going to want books and textbooks and things to do lessons and work in. Well, you don't have to, this is just what we use. Depending on what it is we're learning about. This book is called Topic Book. So this particular day we've got solar system stuff, the day before we've got the numbers and months in Spanish. Then we've got the life cycle of a polar bear. Don't remember doing that. Spanish colours, animals with superpowers, emotions, place values. So this is kind of our everything book. And we've got a 10-minute quick answer questions, Christmas activities. So literally everything and anything just goes in these kind of books. Number sequences, Halloween stories, the life cycle, the evolutionary cycle of a whale. If you didn't know, whales used to have feet. I learned that homeschooling. But yeah, so books and things come in super handy. These kind of folders are super good for, like I showed you in this tray, for when you scan and print off worksheets. So Google is another resource which you can just get free worksheets and print them off. So for example, when it gets to like Christmas times, Halloween times, I print off themed worksheets and have the children do that. So this kind of folder is great for keeping their work in. You can pick these up super inexpensive, and like trays like this, you can just shove them on there, blah blah blah. Folders like these are really handy as well for keeping all their worksheets in, bits of paper that you just have lying around. So I definitely recommend getting some kind of folders like this, and like this one, which again is full of our online learning topic sheets. This one's Disney, this is Inside Out, because we were watching a movie and then writing about what the plot of the movie and what we found. But yeah, so there's some stuff in here about animals, multiplying, multiplications, just a bit of everything really. But I don't really have an order to all of this, it's just to show you what I have and what I use. So lots and lots of papers in there, and you're going to find that you'll probably, if you're doing it like me, you're going to end up with a lot of papers. This is all my free flowing papers, and I just shove them all in here. And I kind of saw them somewhere with the magazines and with the workbooks. That's all our physical stuff. Woo. Right, moving back to online stuff. So YouTube channels are really great for home education. So your child can either just watch them and take them all in, or you can be getting them to write down what they're doing, or watch one, then you can make them like a little like exam, like what did you learn, or you can even just get them to just tell you what they learn. So some really good channels that I would recommend are Peekaboo Kids. So this has got like a little cartoon character, he's called Dr. Binocs, and his videos are very short. They range from like a couple minutes to a few minutes, but they're never very long, teaching children about certain facts. And I find that my children just like to watch these because he kind of is a bit of a silly character and he teaches you about these. So I'm going to go down this list and just name you some really good YouTube channels that I like, and I will link them again all down below. So, I'm out of breath from lifting things up. So we have Peekaboo Kids, Whiz Kids Science, Six Science, TED Ed, Lab 360, Wow Art, Brave Wilderness, Minute Psychics, Minute Physics, Minute Physics, Real Life Law, Crash Course, Homeschool Pop, Dr. Demaio, and Cosmic Kids Yoga. So a lot of these vary in what it is that they do. Some of them are doing like at-home science experiments. For example, the yoga one was pretty self-explanatory, but she does yoga, so that's a really good way to get kids active, especially younger kids. When my boys were younger, they really liked Cosmic Kids Yoga. She does stories, and you have to do like all the stretching and all of that, so that's really good. And then stuff like the Peekaboo Kids and a couple of the other channels just are a little bit of facts about everything. So these are really good channels that I would recommend. Games are another good way. So we have a few games which we play quite often. So we have Dominoes, which is really good for when to do things with numbers, and we also have Lexicon. We have actually the Harry Potter version, but any version is fine. So you can play the traditional Lexicon, or we just use the the letters, the letter tiles to just spell words, and sometimes we'll make up our own rules, like who can come up with the longest word the quickest and then spell it right, and just silly little games like that, because they're little alphabet tiles. So that's really handy, and the Dominoes is really good for math. So that's a couple things which are really quite inexpensive for you to get your hands on if you want to have a few fun activities that you hadn't thought of before. So some really good TV channels are or platforms are Netflix. Netflix has some amazing documentaries, and also National Geographic, which is now on Disney Plus. So if you have Disney Plus, you can get on National Geographic. So there's a program called Weird But True that is quite interesting for the children to sit and just learn things. So on Netflix we have Brain Games, Brainchild, Brain Games, and Our Planet, which are all really good educational programs for your children to learn from. And Netflix and National Geographic have so many documentaries. Like you can learn about space, you can learn about your planet, you can learn about animals, you can learn about under the sea. Like there are so many different documentaries. So Netflix and National Geographic, amazing resources for homeschooling. You could shove a documentary on, watch it with your kids. I have learned so much through watching so many documentaries and taking so much in, as well as YouTube. YouTube and documentaries are such a really good free resource. I know you obviously have to pay for your Netflix subscription, but you know, if you've already got it, free resource for homeschooling, and I think you should definitely take advantage of it. So apps. So I'm going to recommend some apps. So we use Kidlowland. This is a paid app. I have been gifted it, however I wouldn't recommend it if I didn't like it. So this is from ages 1 to 8. So my 8-year-old is currently using this at the minute. It has so many different games, spelling, English, math, coding. And it is a really good educational app, but for younger children. So that is up to the age of 8. So I definitely recommend Kidlowland. Like I said, it is a paid app. Again, Duolingo, I know I mentioned the website, but you can also get this in app form. You can get EdPlace app and Khan Academy app. They're all very good apps to have. I have the parent app with them, so I can keep an eye on what the children are doing. Mental Up is also a good app, but there are so many apps. These are just the ones that I have on my phone, so I wanted to share them with you. These are the apps that we use, the kids use, the boys use. So they could have their EdPlace app on their phone. If one of them's on the laptop and one of them wants to not wait and they want to get their lessons done, they can physically sit and do it on the phones or on the tablets while one's on the laptop. So they are really good apps to have. But just go on your app store and look at educational apps if you want to get like math, brain training, anything like that. Just if you don't want your children just staring at like nonsense games all day, you can have them doing sort of kind of educational games. Okay, so some clubs and groups. So my children are currently only going to be part of one group, but that is because obviously coronavirus at the minute is kind of stopping all the others going back. So this is the one that my son used to go to, and they're starting back next week, and I've been in talks with them, so I know they're reopening, and it is jumping clay classes. So this company called Jumping Clay, I'll link it down below, you've probably heard of Jumping Clay, but they run classes. We have a local one to us who run a home education class twice a week. Well, it was twice a week before coronavirus. I don't know if it's going to be when we reopen, but so these classes costed, well, they used to cost us £8 a session per child, and you learn through jumping clay. So the teacher will teach them. They're in a physical class with other children, so it's like if you're about the socialising, this is a good thing that they can get into. And the teacher teaches them. So I'm looking at some stuff now that's on the fridge. They learn about lungs. We learned about American history, so there's a topic to each lesson, and then they build it out of jumping clay. So we've got a little figure of some lungs over there and a heart, and then they put a magnet on it, and then you get your worksheet and your magnet, and we put it on the fridge so you can see what they've learned, and you can stick it on the fridge with the physical magnet. So that's a really good class if you're interested in anything like that. That gets them in. So meeting other children, that is one that my boys will be back attending, so I wanted to mention it. But just obviously research groups near you. Other things that your children get into, so horse riding, football, art, gymnastics, anything that your child has interest in. It doesn't have to be a home education class, it can be just an after school club or a weekend club, and they're going to be socialising with the children. So jumping clay is one that my children do, and I know Barry's really keen on doing horse riding, so we'll be looking into that. The ones that I've looked into already are still not open yet because of coronavirus, so we'll see. So we're nearing the end, don't worry. So I don't know if you know this, but quite often big companies do home education days. So the ones that I have looked into are National Space Centre, they run a home educational day. Tracker Zoo, they run multiple home educational days throughout the year. Legoland do the same, and so does Drayton Manor. These are just specific ones that I have looked into, and I will link all of them down below, and it will take you straight to their home education pages on their websites. So I looked recently because I looked to see when the next dates are, and they don't currently have ones at the minute, again because of coronavirus. But if I give you the links down below, then you can keep an eye on that page, keep refreshing it for when they are up, back and running their home education days, because obviously everything's not going to be shut forever. Things like this are brilliant for your children just having a change of scenery out of the norm. They have different teachers, they have really fun activities, they're learning, they're taking it in. The one at Legoland is really exciting for like math and thinking and science, because they're building things. The one at Tracker Zoo is they learn about specific animals depending on what day it is, so they could learn about the Arctic, or they could learn about reptiles. So these are really good days for you to look at. These are just ones that I've looked into. So the National Space Centre, Tracker Zoo, Legoland and Drayton Manor, I will link them all down below. But if there's companies near you, just type their name into Google and then type home education, and if they do have an home education days throughout the year, it will just come up on Google, so you'll be able to find that super easy. These are just ones that I've looked into to attend. The Drayton Manor one was really good because they were completely different. There was ones about science, and there was a different day about animals because they have a farm there, and your child just gets to go and be part of a different community, different change of scenery, and it's just a nice day out, but it's educational as well, because it's specific for homeschooled children, so you'll also get to meet other like-minded people. And National Space Centre will be really good and cool for children who want to learn about space and all of that. So yeah, so like I said, if there's a company or something near you that you want to know if they do anything like that, just type the name into Google and write home education days, and if they do anything, it will just come up on Google. So I suggest doing that, but I'll link all of them down below. I think I covered Google, so when I was doing my worksheets, so if there's any topics that you want to learn about, just type it into Google. Google has everything. Go on images, type in so and so worksheets, and you'll get all these worksheets. If you want anything more specific and you can't find what you're needing, there are plenty of websites that you can pay to join, and you have access to thousands and thousands of teacher made worksheets that you can print off at your leisure, because you're paying a subscription and you can use all of that content. But there's plenty of things that you can find on Google to print off. If you've got a printer, it will be your new best friend as a homeschooler. You've seen all the paper I've got. SATs and GCSEs, college and universities, I've covered that. Right, so the last thing I'm going to cover is Facebook groups, which I mentioned at the start. So I've kind of covered everything that I do for the children homeschool wise, but for the parents you're going to want to join these Facebook groups to get advice for other parents and just a support system behind you. So a couple are the Homeschooling UK and the Home Education UK, and I'll link them down below, and I'll also link any others that I've joined when I go through later. And I'm also going to put a few other useful links down below. One, to get your certificate of home education if that is something that you're interested in. And also just a random guide to show you facts and your legal rights on homeschooling, so you know your facts and everything about it. And yeah, so if you do want any videos going into any of these things in particular in more depth, I know this video was a bit all over the place. It was me just trying to cover everything. I probably missed out 100 million facts, just trying to put my feelers into everything so you could just see what goes into homeschooling, and hopefully giving you a feel for what it is that I personally do. If you have any questions, let me know. If you want specific lesson plans, or if you want to know more about a website in particular, or if you want to know more about the workbooks or the YouTube channels or the TV shows, just leave me a comment. I can do some more videos which are more focused on certain individual tasks. But yes, so hopefully you liked that video and it wasn't too all over the place. Please give it a thumbs up and follow me, and I'll see you in the next video.